At least 13 people have been killed after a fight broke out in a prison in northern Mexico. A protest by inmates overnight had spiraled out of control. One prisoner was killed and a number of guards were taken hostage. Then police were sent in to calm the disturbance, but the fight soon escalated to involve around 250 inmates. Anxious family members gathered outside the prison during the day, waiting for news of their loved ones. Rival gangs that are involved in drug trafficking, human smuggling and extortion have fueled bloody battles in Mexico's overcrowded prisons. At least 28 inmates were killed in July in a battle in a prison in the Pacific resort of Acapulco.
A triple suicide bomb attack on a police headquarters in central Damascus has killed 2 people and injured 6 others. It's the second bombing this month on the Syrian capital, claimed by self-styled Islamic State, or ISIL, which experts say is a response to its multiple defeats elsewhere. US-backed forces are said to be on the verge of ousting the militants from the city of Raqqa, one of their last strongholds. Kurdish troops were at the forefront of the offensive, which began in early June. Up to 400 militants are believed to remain in a small part of the city, among them foreign fighters who are expected to fight to the death. As the campaign to drive out Islamic State from western Syria eastwards to the Iraqi border continues, thousands of civilians are being displaced. Shelling and clashes have swelled refugee camps in Deir al-Zor province, downriver from Raqqa. At one south of al-Asaka, organisers said overcrowding and lack of services and tents was making life intolerable for around 27,000 people. There's been no official response from the Catalan government since Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy issued a 5-day deadline to clarify whether or not it had declared independence. If it has, then Madrid will invoke Article 155 of the Constitution, suspending the region's autonomy. On October the 1st, the government of Catalonia wanted to carry out an illegal referendum. This was not an innocent, spontaneous or democratic decision. It was the last chapter in a political strategy devised to impose on Catalan society and all Spain an independence that few want and is good for nobody. Catalan's leader, Carles Puigdemont, issued a declaration of independence on Tuesday, but immediately suspended it to allow for talks with Madrid. His only response so far has been a tweet saying, "We ask for dialogue and they answer us with putting 155 on the table. Understood." The Speaker of Catalan's regional parliament has commented, saying, "What I would like to say is that Article 155 would create the opposite effect that the Spanish government intends. As I've said, repression has not served to stop this democratic process. As much as I have understood it, applying 155 would deepen the problem." Spain has been in turmoil since the separatist government held the disputed referendum in Catalonia, which Madrid said was illegal. As the country goes through its worst political crisis in decades, it's holding its National Day celebrations.
Rival Palestinian groups Hamas and Fatah have reached agreement on political reconciliation, according to the Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh. In a statement, he said a deal was struck before dawn, acknowledging the role of Egyptian mediators. Last month, Hamas agreed to cede powers in Gaza to the Fatah-backed government of President Mahmoud Abbas. Hamas, considered a terrorist group by the West and Israel, took control of the territory when it ousted Fatah-led forces 10 years ago. More details are due to be announced in Cairo, where talks involving delegations from the two rivals have been taking place to work out the details of the administrative handover. Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah and other government members held their first cabinet meeting in Gaza last week. Under the deal, 3,000 Fatah security forces will join the Gaza police force, but Hamas will still have the most powerful armed Palestinian faction.
Turkish and US officials have decided to meet to work on resolving a diplomatic dispute between the two NATO allies, and talks between their foreign ministers were constructive, said Deputy Prime Minister Bekir Bozdağ. He added he would have to take the US at its word that it was not hiding a consular employee at its Ankara embassy. Turkey claims he was involved in the failed 2016 coup, and after he went into hiding, arrested his family.
First, my commitment to the
US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has dismissed the claims America was involved in the coup. We hope that this issue will be resolved and relations between our two countries will normalise between allies Turkey and the United States as soon as possible. While the crisis on the global and regional level is increasing, we as Turkey will continue to use our common sense in dealing with the situation. President Erdogan says he no longer recognises the outgoing US ambassador John Bass, an unprecedented step in what is the worst crisis between the NATO allies in decades. After Turkey ordered the official's arrest, the US stopped issuing US visas in Turkey, leading to Ankara doing the same for US citizens.
Multiple administration, congressional and diplomatic sources tell NBC News President Trump has decided to tell Congress Iran is not complying with the spirit of the landmark nuclear deal.
We're going to be announcing that very shortly.
The decision to be announced Friday goes against the initial advice of his top advisors. Defense Secretary James Mattis, when asked last week if he thinks the deal is in America's national security interest.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes, Senator, I do.
The sources say the White House will present this as a larger strategy to crack down on Iran's missile program and support for terrorism, demand Congress increase pressure on Iran, plus covert military action against Iran's forces in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen.
A nuclear deal that actually works would be good for everybody. This one has serious flaws.
Still, despite the president's campaign promise to scrap the agreement,
we get nothing. We get nothing. This was a deal at the highest level of incompetence.
The president will not withdraw from it, so critics say he'll just talk tough to satisfy his base.
But this is more of a political maneuver than a strategic decision.
President Rouhani told his cabinet the U.S. decision will make America the rebellious state, not Iran. Last month, Rouhani telling Lester,
"No one will trust America again."
E televidente, assim nós chegamos na final da edição de Notisia para Ave Merdia, dia 12 de outubro de 2017. Vamos para um break. E agora nós estamos back, é deporte.